Unfortunately, it is the Winchesters and not the shapeshifter, because there are police everywhere. Because, yeah, you're way too close to a crime scene that someone that has an eyewitness with your face. Like, yeah, Sam should have gone to get the car by himself.
Yeah. It's
He
like,
still
hey,
probably would have got arrested, but
you're back, and you brought a friend.
Sam takes the arrest so that Dean can get away, and bye-bye law school, buddy. You're now an accomplice to attempted murder. You're not going back to law school, even if you do kill the thing that killed your mom and your girlfriend. You're not going back. You're never gonna get the bar. You're never gonna reach at the bar, because you have an arrest for accomplice to an attempted murder on your record now.
That your brother committed.
Like, even if you don't get charged, which Sam doesn't, like, that's it. You're done. That's the end of Sam's law career right here in episode 6.
Didn't take that long.
At some point, the shapeshifter has become Rebecca and kidnapped her, kept her alive. I guess it likes Rebecca because it kept her alive
for some twisted reason.
Dean rescues her from the lair, and once the shapeshifter Becky kidnaps Sam, he shifts back into Dean so that they can work out some of their family drama. And I don't like this. Sam and Dean are having it starts as a verbal fight and turns into a big fight scene. It feels this show likes to get a little heavy-handed on the implication that Sam and Dean are more involved than just brothers, which is gross and weird.
What?
And yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah,
it's not a thing, but the show likes to imply it or at least acknowledge it from time to time, that some people think that. It just does. It feels a little Freud to be having this fight, and I don't like that they're having this fight when Dean isn't even Dean. It's it doesn't matter that they're having this fight because it's not even the real Dean.
Stop fueling the Wincest shippers.
Yeah.
They don't need this.
No one needs this, honestly. And why have this fight if it's not even the real Dean? That means that the real Dean's not gonna take anything that's said to heart. He wasn't here.
Wait, where are we having this fight?
I think in Becky's house.
Right. Okay,
I'm
so
pretty
we're back
sure
with Sam now. I just kind of zoned out.
Yeah. Yeah, we're with Sam, and the shapeshifter dressed was Rebecca until while Sam was there, and then as soon as Sam was comfortable and trying to talk to Rebecca about how it wasn't really Dean that got her, then the shapeshifter's gotcha, and hit Sam over the head again. Poor friggin' Sam's gonna have a concussion.
He should already have a concussion, honestly.
And then when he wakes up, the shapeshifter is turned back into Dean again, and then they have this fight / it starts as an argument and turns into an actual fist fight, because
I guess if the shapeshifter's goading him this whole time, it's kind of hard to resist.
I mean, but you had him knocked out. Just kill him. Why are we having this long conversation where you're you got to go away to college and I had to stay home with Dad? Why are we having that fight?
Well, as I think the shapeshifter just really likes playing with people.
Anyway, the real Dean arrives and kills the fake Dean just in time to save Sam's life.
Yay.
Which is good. Weird, but Rebecca's with the real Dean, and so poor freaking Rebecca again. It's just along for this whole ride. She's seen so much weird shit.
She's gonna need so much therapy.
Dean takes his necklace back from the fake Dean. That's the only thing he wants back is his necklace thing.
I just really enjoy the shot where he's taking his necklace back. I don't know why.
Yes.
It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a kind of it's a great angle. I don't know.
The way they're posed.
It's a good shot, yeah. He's just leaning over his own body. Becky makes me really sad then, because we flip to the next day or whatever. She's in awe of what just happened and what they do, and that's when she says everyone really misses Sam, and Sam says me too, because he misses them and because he misses who he was with them, and oh, my heart hurts.
Aww.
Dean Winchester, the shapeshifter, is now being blamed for Emily's murder as well, so Zach is going to be released. And they're maybe the timestamp wasn't real, because, now we've got a serial killer on the loose, and we've got a dead body to blame it on. And then we're driving, it's a big overhead shot of a beautiful road. I actually really love this overhead shot compared to all the other overhead shots of them driving that we've seen.
We have a few to choose from.
I really enjoyed this one. I was oh, this one's really nice. Dean apologizes to Sam and says he wishes that Sam could have a normal life, and Sam says that he never really fit in, even at Stanford. Dean calls Sam a freak and then calls himself a freak too. You are a freak. That's why you never fit in, but it's okay because I'm a freak too. Which is really kind of sweet, but I just wish that he wouldn't have said it, because Sam's big insecurity is being a freak and an outsider.
Yeah, well.
He said it to be nice, but I just wish he just hadn't said it, or had picked different words or something,
Yeah, I mean, it works for Dean because communication skills aren't exactly his thing.
It's a Dean's thing to say, but then Dean says he's disappointed he's gonna miss his own funeral, which is maybe a reference to Huckleberry Finn, maybe just a thing. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But that's the end of the episode.
There we go. I bet it was a beautiful funeral.
I like this episode. This episode kicks off like a sporadic storyline of them dealing with police. Like it kind of starts here. So I don't know. I like this episode like overall.
Yeah, me too. It was actually one of my favorites when I first started watching this.
Yeah, I mean, I find it really gross in the one gross scene. That's the only scene I think I have like a real hard time with in this episode is that one scene where Dean's changing back into someone else. On to some of our weekly segments and panels, because KJ's got to update some stats on some things, and we got to weigh in on a few things. So let's start with total deaths. This week was a little light on death. We didn't see any on-screen death.
What? I didn't even realize.
Lindsay and Becca both survived.
Wait, what about the shapeshifter?
I'm not counting him. He's a monster. I'm gonna only count people. Ghosts I count because they died one time, but monsters I'm not counting, if that makes sense.
Shifters are people too, KJ.
They're monsters, though. They go to purgatory.
Fine.
Keeping our on-screen total at 114, and the on- and off-screen total for this episode was just one. It was Emily. It's implied that there was others, and so the on- and off-screen total is 757 plus.
It's a bit much.
We are creeping up on that 1,000 mark real quickly. I think we're gonna hit that probably before the end of the season.
My goodness.
Definitely before the end of like season 2 or 3.
Man, season 15, like we're gonna have really high numbers.
I mean, if we have one more plane crash type episode, then I have no idea what the death count's gonna be in season 15. It could be real high. We also try to nominate or assign an MVP of the week, so let's see who Meredith would like to nominate as this week's most valuable person.
I'm gonna go with Dean, because he killed the thing.
That's fun. I think the boys were pretty even in terms of like knowing how to kill the monster and figuring out what the monster was gonna do next and being rescued and needing rescuing and doing the rescuing, so
yeah,
they're pretty even. But because this is Sam's friend and Sam's case, I'm going to give this one to Sam.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think either one's correct this week. Next, this show has so few women, so let's put it to the Bechdel test.
Nope.
It's a nope. Did we have 2 named women in this episode? I guess if you count Lindsay, then sure. But Lindsay didn't really say much except for please don't kill me. And even if we were counting her, she never was in contact with Becca, and they didn't have a conversation with something other than a man, so that's a no. This episode did not pass the Bechdel test.
Nope.
This week's case of the week was a shapeshifter. It comes from a lot of different lores and mythologies. I didn't do any research on any of them. Meredith, did you do any?
I did a little bit, and I had to pull a lot from memory, because I just didn't have very much time this week.
That's okay. Tell me what you got.
So, as they mentioned in the episode, there are shapeshifters in pretty much every culture. It's people who change their shape, basically. Most of them are animals.
Yes.
And there's a lot of different ways to shift. A lot of them are just like magic users who can do other stuff, and they're using spells to turn into animals or other people. I didn't find any shapeshifters that exclusively transform into other people like they do here, but that doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah, there's a lot of cultures and a lot of stories in the world.
There's a lot of variety. Let's see, Merlin actually did this a lot in Arthurian legend, and the Greek gods did this a lot. It's a pretty good way to disguise yourself, especially for like plot reasons, if you want to mess with people.
Yeah, definitely.
Fortunately, a lot of them transformed into other people so they could sleep with their wives, which is really skeevy. Don't do that.
We kind of find out in season 6, not to do a season 6, but we kind of find out in season 6 that that's how this type of shapeshifter comes to be born.
Yeah, I know. It was the whole time I was just like, you sick. Like, stop pulling a Zeus. Oh yeah, I wanted to see if there were any shapeshifters that like shed their skin.
Okay.
Because there's just so many different ways to shift, and I remembered Selkies.
Yeah.
In like Celtic mythology, maybe Irish. They are seal shapeshifters. They turn into people and seals. They shed their animal skin like clothes, and when they want to turn back into a seal, they put their skin back on. So these shapeshifters can't do that.
I think I've heard of a werewolf myth like that as well.
Yeah, it's actually really common with animal shifters in different mythologies. And often you have like a plot where their animal skin is stolen and they can't turn back into an animal without it. And sometimes you can use that to coerce a Selkie or something into marrying you, which is also pretty shady. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't coerce anybody into marrying anybody. That's a legally binding contract.
Yep. It also usually turns pretty bad in the end, and usually the Selkie or whatever goes back to their people, so good for the Selkie.
Yes.
I think it's interesting, as I mentioned, that these guys shed their skin. Unfortunately, it's a kind of a one-use kind of thing. You can't just put your skin back on because it's all gross and goopy and it's kind of deteriorating.
But there doesn't seem to be a limit on how many times you can turn any person.
Yes.
Because he's Dean twice in this episode alone.
Yeah, you leave a mess behind and a trail to follow, but at least you can turn into the same person twice.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's limits, or it doesn't... Sometimes, like, there's, like... Oh, I think it's the Leviathans. They need, like, a piece of the original person, like DNA.
I think it's kind of implied that they need something that belongs to the person for the shapeshifters, because Zach's clothes were stolen.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe that's it, though. Or maybe he just needed, like, clothes to wear when he was Zach.
Yeah.
Maybe Zach was short. And his clothes wouldn't fit. I don't know. But maybe that's it. Maybe he needs something, and that's why he took Dean's amulet and didn't take any of his other clothes.
Yeah, like that would actually make a lot of sense. You need something that person, like, owns and has come in contact with.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that's probably almost definitely it.
I think it's interesting that these shifters have kind of I don't know, some sort of, like, psychic link with the people they shift into, and they start, like, knowing the things that they know and having their memories. That's something I haven't seen before.
Yeah, I know I complained about that, but I wasn't complaining about that. I was complaining about the fact that they were having a fight.
Yeah.
Because, like, Sam's having a fight with Dean, but it's not Dean, so there's not going to be any, like, outcome to this fight.
Yeah.
It makes no sense that Dean's, like, come around on this kind of stuff by the end of the episode, because he wasn't there for the fight.
No.
But yeah, it is interesting.
I think that's pretty much all I have. Also, I highly recommend the song "The Maiden and the Selkie" by Heather Dale if you're into Selkies now. It's a good
If
song.
you want to know, I love a good recommendation. On to things that I didn't like. Now we're gonna do a low light, which is our least favorite part of the episode, and a highlight, which is our favorite part of the episode. So, Meredith, do you want to start?
We're probably gonna have the same low light, which is the transformation scene, because it was gross.
I actually did. I was really mad about that fight.
There we go. No, we don't have the same one.
Also, I didn't like that the shapeshifter doesn't have a motive that we can tell. He has a MO, like couples, torturing the women, gets the men incarcerated. But, like, he doesn't eat them. He doesn't, like, seem to be getting anything out of it, aside from, like, serial killer, like, levels of gratification.
I think they're just trying to imply that the shapeshifter is just a sick person that likes torturing people.
Yeah, and I don't know, like it's like a monster, like, just for the sake of, like, you know, it's not trying to eat anything, or, like, it's just killing for the sake of killing, which isn't the typical monster motive. Usually monsters are killing to, you know, eat people.
Well, when we get to our highlights, I actually have a few notes on that.
Okay, let's go right to that then.
All right. This episode was immediately one of my favorites when I first started watching the show, and it's because the shapeshifter is actually really different from the other monsters we've seen. It's, in a way, it's more human.
Yes.
Like, the only thing that sets them apart from a regular sadistic serial killer is the fact that they shapeshift. And
yeah, aside from that, he's just like every other, like, BTK, Ted Bundy.
Yeah, like, this is the first time I realized, like, the potential for these monsters to be people, to be written as individuals that could be, not in this case, motivated by things that we can relate to. They're not a monster because they're not human. They're a monster because they torture and murder people. Like, they're dangerous because of their actions, not their nature. The shapeshifting just gives them an edge.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess, yeah. I don't know. I wish that if it's just this one shapeshifter that's out here doing this, then I wish that we knew more about this particular shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Than his, like, weird rambling. If that's supposed to be his, like, life story, like...
There's a lot of potential there for this particular shifter.
Yes. And I guess other shifters by extension to learn how they're not like this dude. But yeah, okay. Maybe I'm less mad. Maybe you've changed my mind. Still mad about the fight, but...
Oh, no. I don't like the fight either.
Maybe the rest of it. My highlight is Sam realizing right away that Dean wasn't Dean. I mean, it was too late to do anything about it, but I like that he was immediately like, what about the case that Dad worked when we were kids?
Yes, I love that. You can really show how much they know each other.
Like, there was nothing like that Dean really did or said that at that point that was, like, out of character or out of the ordinary. There was no real, like, thing that should have indicated to Sam. Sam just knew.
He sensed it.
I guess we're gonna go on to mental health check. I'm not a psychologist. This segment is based based purely on my own opinions, and a weekly reminder that if you're struggling with anything at all, please reach out for help. This week was so confusing as to who was who and when that I'm confused. I mean, I got it straight for the sake of the recap, but the monster, like having all of Dean's resentment and abandonment issues